Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where artists, tattooers, apprentices, collectors, the curious, everyone is welcome to learn, inspire each other, and ultimately get better tattoos. This is the Reinventing Drawing Group with Jason Leeser. It happens every Sunday at 1 o'clock, and artists are encouraged to join the Zoom. So I'm not sure where you're watching. It could be Facebook or YouTube or on the app, but one way or another, the best place to always get a hold of reinventing programming like this is the Reinventing the Tattoo app. If you go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, you can download the Reinventing the Tattoo app, just do a search for it. And then if you enjoy, please give it a good review. We love constructive criticism directly, but those reviews are helping us get a lot of traction. In any event, I want to make sure that this is working. The other place to get a hold of the programming will be the Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel. And it's actually the right time to do a search in the podcast stores. We're going to start getting the Reinventing the Tattoo podcast up. And it's been pretty good because a lot of these interviews and stuff are perfect to have on the audio in the background. Okay, so let's see. We want to thank our sponsors. We have inkjetstencils.com, where artists can treat their graphics, their reference for upcoming tattoos, either on your iPad or on your computer in your software of choice, and then print it out on an inkjet printer using an Eco Tank Epson. You could also do oversized printouts, get back pieces and sleeves and stuff in one shot. Andre Malcolm's got a couple of awesome videos, and there are other webinars inside of the Reinventing the Tattoo app. If you check out the Inkjet Stencils section, you'll see some videos, some webinars, and information on how to get 5 free samples. Loose Screw Tattoo is an awesome tattoo studio in Richmond, Virginia, led by Jesse Smith, who is an awesome tattooer, artist, entrepreneur, shop owner. And they are always really looking for awesome tattooers. So if you can handle a pretty busy shop, they've got clientele walking in. You need to be awesome at black and gray, be awesome at color tattoos, be able to accept critique and the amazing lessons to learn from all of the crew. That he's got a really awesome set of tattooers there. They do art nights. He actually recently did an interview about landing your dream job, kind of about what it's like there and how he kind of experienced a whole bunch of different types of shops and whatnot. So loosescrewtattoo.com. I think they have like dental and health and all sorts of 401k options, and it's pretty awesome. So check it out, Loose Screw Tattoo. There's a join the team button. If you click on that, let them know that you found out about them on Reinventing the Tattoo. Rawpigments.co is an ink company out from California. They are wicked close to the source of the raw pigments, and I believe that they are all acrylic free and vegan. If you check out rawpigments.co, then you will be able to learn more about them. Also, we want to thank Cheyenne Tattoo Supply. And if you, check it out, go to reinventingthetattoo.com/equinox. And then if you sign up, you will get a link that goes to the Equinox show that we have back here. Ajalou and Android Jones doing an amazing 90-minute music visual set. And then also on that landing page of the link, you'll find a registration page where we'll send you a goodie bag that has some Cheyenne tattoo samples, some of the cartridges, as well as the raw pigment ink samples, and some other goodies that we put in there. So check it out, reinventingthetattoo.com/equinox. And let's see, other people we would love to always mention are some of our affiliates. The Fireside Tattoo Network is an amazing podcast and YouTube channel with Jake Meeks. He does the Monday exercises, and you should definitely check it out. Eco-Friendly Tattoo Supplies is a set of links that we're putting up that go out to different eco-friendly tattoo supplies. And let's see here. What else do we've got? I am going to hop into other upcoming events and some of the awesome replays. You definitely want to check the YouTube channel or do a podcast search for Aaron Dieter Wolf. Guy and Ginger from the community did an amazing interview with him. He's a prehistoric archaeologist who specializes in tattooed mummies. I mean, he does a lot of different things, but he's tattooed and tapped right into the tattooed archaeologist culture. It was an amazing interview. Other upcoming events that you should definitely make sure you check out are going to be, today at 4 o'clock, David Heskin is going to be doing his painting seminar. 5 o'clock Eastern. You definitely want to check that out. Monday mornings, we've got the Reinventing Drawing Group with Jake Meeks. At 12 noon, we have Let's Talk Tattoos with Mark Lascarbo from Needle Jig. This Monday at noon, he's interviewing Mike Chambers. Mondays at 9 o'clock are subscriber-only exercises with Guy Aitchison. So this is the beating heart of the Reinventing the Tattoo community is the professional development package that Guy has. It's very affordable. As a couple of the members say, it's actually less than $1 a day. So you should check it out. Courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. And if you want to check out all of these other events, if you go to our community, community.reinventingthetattoo.com, or download the app, then you will be able to see the events. So I'm going to hop into the background. I can read off your comments. And lastly, if you do want to zoom in, if you're an artist, then check out that event schedule. You will see this event listed and the Zoom link is there. If we put it out in the comments of the YouTube or the Facebook, then spammers get a hold of it and it's a nightmare. Awesome. Well, I'm going to pass it off to Jason, and I know Ricardo's on the line. I don't know if anybody else hopped on, but actually I can't pass it off because Jason's in control.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey everyone, welcome. Hope everyone's doing all right today. Hope everyone can see me all right, and hope I'm coming across okay. We got Ricardo in the background working on a pretty sick drawing over there. How's it going, Ricardo?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Got some pretty interesting things to talk about today. I've been trying to be a little bit more proactive with just trying to come up with like topics and things like that to really do some really get some engaging conversation going on in here. By all means, everyone that may or may not be watching this, feel free to if you guys ever have any topics that you want discussed, feel free to drop a comment. Put down, make a comment if you're on the Facebook. Just bring up a topic for us. If you're on a YouTube, maybe leave a comment below the video. Always remember to like and share and subscribe. That way you always get notified anytime we go live, even though it's on a pretty consistent basis. But yeah, just doing those simple things really helps us out a lot, helps us keep all this kind of stuff going on. But yeah, we've got a couple of interesting topics to cover today. One of my favorite topics to discuss is actually working in a second medium. And there are plenty of artists out there. I mean, we've got Ricardo over there working in, what is that? Crayola crayon?
I'm doing charcoal, and I'm using a soft, they're called soft brushes. It's just basically like a sponge little tip on this plastic handle. And I love it. You know what I mean? Working with charcoal is fucking, I love it. It's great. You're able to get a lot of range of tone and stuff like that, a lot of shape, a lot of depth. And with this, it really reminds me of like working with paint, like oil paints and such. You know what I mean? You're able to layer with it and stuff like that. So it's great. Hey, Kier.
Dude, awesome.
Hi.
Hey, Kirsten.
Hello.
So I know one of my personal favorite things to work in, and it's not a medium that everyone really enjoys working in, but I do like to work with liquid acrylic and watercolor. I love the absorbency on the surface that I paint on, which is any number of like heavyweight watercolor papers. I just like the way that it lays in, and I find that as I'm working with that, I work in almost the same process as if I were tattooing. So I'll start out and maybe I'll lay down. Granted, I don't actually start with my line work first. I'll start with pencil sketch, something like that. Or if I have an image, what I usually end up doing is plotting things out on my iPad, printing them out full size in tiles, and then transferring that over to whatever surface I'm working on, whether it be via projector or printout and graphite transfer. But I'll always start out with like a light pencil sketch. That way I know where my shapes are and my colors are going. But from there, I start working with my black, and I'll block in all of my dark and black areas, and I'll fade that out and spit shade that out. Then I'll start working with some of my darker and medium tones and blend those in and layer those over top. So I find that for me, it kind of tends to be a little bit more akin to actually tattooing than, going through and working with a few of the other types of mediums that I've worked with. I think mostly that's because I like to work in transparent layers, right? Because I feel like if I can do, very translucent washy layers, then I can kind of work in the same way when I'm tattooing. Now I don't know how you think that applies, Ricardo, but I mean, that's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I think it's a good technique for tattooing for sure, and it makes sense that it lends to itself, or the two of them lend to each other, I guess, right? So yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, if you really think about it, and the more and more I'm thinking about it, the more and more I can almost find commonalities between almost any medium you can imagine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see where you're going. And I agree with that. I mean, I think it's important to practice with other mediums outside of, tattooing for sure, because like we get so stuck on just line work, contrast, color, and it makes for a great tattoo and it looks awesome, but it's good to be able to bring, like you're saying, these other mediums into practice so that way they can either intentionally be introduced into your tattoo style or inadvertently, and like it's a subconscious kind of slip, and it's a nice thing for it to happen sometimes. They just kind of graduate into each other.
Right.
That makes any sense. Yeah.
Well, and it's that ability to build off of working with different mediums that I think, to me, is really beneficial when it comes down to, really just practice working on your art and expanding off of, what your current skill set, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because when you can expand off of your current skill set, it makes things a lot easier to incorporate into your daily practice.
Right.
Once again, that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. I'm always looking for different perspectives. I'm always trying to learn more and always trying to get more information and trying to expand my own personal knowledge base.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why I brought this up today is because I was recently commissioned by a very good friend of mine and fellow tattooer out in New Jersey. Her name is Sydney Oso. If you guys, feel like looking her up, I'll pull her up. She does a lot of almost pointillist kind of work, a lot of very feminine, kind of delicate floral design motifs.
Cool.
And she recently got in touch. Let me pull up her Instagram. Gotta love the gram. Super awesome person. I've worked with her at a couple of different shows. Let's see. Just really great person. And she recently got in touch with me and asked me to commission her asked to commission me for a painting. And I was like, okay, well, give me some specifics, right? Because I can go through and I can, paint, draw, do whatever. What are you looking for?
Right.
That's always been my thing. If someone's going to pay me for something, I want to know what it is specifically you're looking at.
As far as subject matter or like the overall style, or what do you mean by that?
Everything. Give me details. If you're asking me for a tattoo, be specific. Tell me what your motivation is. Tell me what your theme is. If you come in with a reference image, let me know why you like that reference image.
It's pretty interesting.
Let's get into providing what you're looking for. That way, no one's time gets wasted, right?
Right. I think sometimes a lot of people will bring in images of other tattoos and such, though, because they don't realize that they just want black and gray, or the black and gray realistic style, or black and gray cartoony style. You know what I mean? So there's something about these images. Either they want it directly as is, or they've seen something that it really ties them to it. And most of the time, it's a style, and they don't realize that that's what it is that they're looking for.
Right.
So it's really cool to be able to sit down with them and talk to them about it and ask them these questions like that too. Oh yeah, cool. So it's real like delicate fine line kind of stuff.
Very
Yeah.
delicate type floral designs.
Right.
And
Yeah.
watching her process is always inspiring because she uses some of the smallest liners I've ever even heard of.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
hey,
still-
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but Jason, I'm not sure we're going out to the right Vimeo link or Vimeo event. Can you just double check to make sure that that we are?
I mean, we should be.
Or if somebody could just double check that we're going out on the app, it doesn't seem.
I mean, for
My
the Vimeo page that I pulled up, we are.
Right, but when I go to the watch show link on the app, it says this event has not started yet. And then Bruno does say, Bruno says, be there soon.
Yep, I saw that.
But so I'm wondering if we need to change the embed. Oh, I guess, or maybe we just carry on because it is going out on YouTube. Or sorry, it is going out on Facebook to a bazillion people.
Yeah, we may want to take a look at the.
Well, let's carry on, and I guess we just need to get you and Lauren connected to make sure that you're always giving out to the appropriate Vimeo points. I'm not sure we can do
I
it
went
better
into
now.
the through Vimeo. I went into the live schedule, the events list, and pulled up that event. So I don't know, maybe
That's what I'm saying. Whatever event you pulled up, you should just get with Lauren directly. Maybe after this, and just make sure that the events are either named appropriately, or one way or another, we just need to get you connected up. But I just wanted to double check that wasn't working, I guess. And let's see. So Joey, my own, says nothing's free. Says Joey. Let's see, Janine. But okay, I'm not sure what everyone's even saying here. But we do have a fair amount of people watching on the tattoos.com Facebook. So thank you, tattoos.com. And
what's up, guys?
Thank you. Yeah, I'll get a hold of Lauren after this and see if we can figure out what happened.
No, Jason, I was just sitting there thinking about what you asked me earlier, like medium-wise. I think what I like the most, and I remember listening to you talk just a little bit ago about the water. What was it? The acrylic and watercolor?
Liquid acrylic?
Liquid acrylics, right. And like how that applies to what you're trying to do as far as your goal goes. And like, I get what you're saying now, because like the reason I like using charcoals is because I like to understand the value and the light source before I even start messing with any colors and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
Gotcha.
I always consider it like an underpainting kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it's very, tonal value, and that's about it. And but you're able to create the same dynamics, and then that's when you would introduce like the intensities of color and contrast and such. You know what I mean? Or like a harmonious kind of color scheme, like a split complementary, like we've been working on for Monday Night's project and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
So, yeah, I always like to try to approach it with the silhouette in mind.
Now, here's a good question. Something that I feel might be pretty relevant to, just to kind of like getting a little bit further in depth with everything.
Okay.
When you're designing tattoos, when you're doing tattoos, when you're working on artwork, do you usually find that you try to put the most emphasis possible on contrast and value?
Yes, I always try to approach it with that in mind first.
Okay.
With the tattoo especially, like I want something that's going to last a long time in my tattoo work. Like I want to be able to see it 10 years later and it still hold up really well and not have spread or moved too much. You know what I mean? So like, I think we had a conversation earlier about like, approaching it in the most traditional-esque kind of way, right? Where there is a lot of strong contrast and value, simpler line work and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely try to approach it that way for sure. But one of the things that I try to do in implementing that technique is the silhouette. Like I always try to imagine like the overall silhouette and how legible that shape is before I do anything else. Does that make sense? Like
It
like a
does.
hand, if it was just to be black, like a dark background with a white hand, or vice versa, you'd be able to see that there's fingers in the palm and the wrist there. You know what I mean? So like as simple as that. Like the turkeys that the little kids do, almost even.
Right.
You know?
But would you say that that's your primary focus? Or would you say that that's more secondary to something such as, say, composition?
Oh yeah, well no, composition is definitely one of the more key things, right? Absolutely. Like you definitely start with the composition first. Agreed.
Yeah,
The
it's
placement of subject matter, like if it's a secondary kind of influence or a third in the background kind of influence, and how it can kind of make it more cohesive with the overall piece. Yeah. Yeah,
well,
the
and let
composition
me
for
let me
sure.
tell you why I'm asking these questions. Because through talking to the various, artists that I've met in my life, I find that if you really sit back and you really look at a lot of like their whole body of work, right?
Right.
You can generally tend to pick out maybe one or two elements that they will almost always try to focus on in every single one of their pieces that becomes their primary focal point, right?
Okay.
So, for example, the illusion of depth and the creation of depth and the different depth tricks that are used to turn a flat two-dimensional plane into a three-dimensional window, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that's something that you see a lot of different artists going through and focusing on primarily. You'll see other artists that are out there that are focused more on what's the overall composition, right? No matter where it is it composed correctly? Does it have the right flow? Does it have the right fit? Is it moving with the body in a way that your body will manipulate the direction in which that tattoo moves on the body?
Yeah.
Looking at color blends. There are some artists out there that focus almost solely on pure total color saturation, silky smooth color blends, and just
Yeah.
total saturation of pigment, right? So, you can see some artists out there focus primarily on line work, using
Sorry, real
outlines.
quick, Bruno, could you turn your phone sideways?
There you go.
Bruno.
Hey,
What up,
Bruno.
Bruno?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Pretty good, man.
Good to see you all. How's it going, Gabe, Ricardo, Jason, Kirsten?
Hey.
Okay, Paso.
Just trying to figure out the camera thing. 1 second.
So, that's getting back on topic, back onto my soapbox here for just another second to wrap up my point. It's like you can almost pick things out. There are a lot of guys out there that'll focus on contrast, and just maximizing that. But then when you decide that that's your primary focus, you start to put other things secondary, right?
Right.
Because if you have too much contrast, then you're looking at a purely black and white image, right?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be your maximum amount of contrast, is where you have absolutely nothing and then a whole lot of black.
Yeah.
So knowing that and knowing that you really do try to put a decent amount of focus on contrast, how do you find that these other compositional elements also come into play? And where would you say that contrast ultimately ranks when it comes down to, working on a specific design?
Man, that's a really good question. I guess I never really thought about even the beginning of this conversation. Like I kind of see where you're going with that, because you're talking about like all these other little elements that might fit in, and if you focus too much on one, they might. I definitely find myself sitting down with a drawing or a painting and struggling with some of the smaller details and stuff for sure. And I think that is because I have focused more on just like that overall shape and stuff like that too. So, wow, man, I mean, that's a really good question. Let me think about that for a little bit, and I'll get back to you on it, because, wow.
Well, no, I'll tell you where all of this stems from. I was recently listening to a podcast and I listen to a lot of different podcasts.
Mhm.
So I completely forget which one it is, but I was listening to it, and then I think it was something dealing with like, like it was something about like an artist's life, and how artists' lives are very different than a lot of other people's lives, in a lot of different industries. And
Absolutely.
I one of the quotes that I remember hearing was, when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority, right?
Yeah.
And it really forces us to take a step back and really look at, what do I want to have as a priority,
Yeah.
right? Do I want to put, say on let's just take the four basic elements, right? Say line, contrast, depth, and composition, right? Where would you say that those rank in importance, right? Because everything can't be the most important thing, because then nothing is really truly important,
Right.
right? So if you're saying that one thing that you really try to focus a lot on is contrast, where would you say the rest of it kind of falls into place?
Mhm.
Isn't that your
You know,
basic
just
fundamentals though?
they are, but take a look at various artists' work, right? When you're analyzing different artists' bodies of work, like their whole collection, their whole body of work, paintings, drawings, tattoos, sculptures, whatever, you can usually find common themes that are consistent throughout their entire body of work, right? So
Right.
you can find, different guys out there that'll focus on color saturation and color blending, right? And that will be, and you'll see the most incredible color blends you've ever seen in your life. And they just really focus on using color over a lot of other things. Granted, if that becomes their primary their primary element that they focus on, maybe they don't have quite as much contrast using, black tones and black shading as other artists. Not saying that their work isn't, anywhere near as good. It's just that they tend to put a different focus on a different element.
It's almost like the way their eye works, even.
Right. Or
Yeah.
certain things that they really want to try to emphasize over other things. Maybe they
Mhm.
don't have as much line work in their piece, right?
Yeah, man, that's a really good way to look at it, because I think you're right. I mean, if you're able to prioritize your approach, like just from a blank piece of paper, a blank canvas, and able to kind of prioritize this method, you can definitely like start honing in a little bit more on your skill and like your voice and stuff like that too.
Right.
That's this is a really good topic, man. I like this a lot, dude.
It's something that I often find myself struggling with, and that's why I do really
Mhm.
enjoy bringing it up,
Yeah.
because I'm one of those people where I'm always consistently trying to find the balance between your primary elements, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, for
without
sure.
maintaining that kind of a balance in what you're creating, something is going to be off somewhere.
Right.
The question is where.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've actually taken from some of these Monday night classes. Because Guy actually brought it up one time. Like his vision from the very start of that sketch, he's already thinking about, the positive and negative, right? The shadows and the darks and the lights, like where are they gonna be? Like that's kind of how he sees things. And I kind of came from a place where I look at things a little bit more like linear, right?
Right.
From the start. And I actually stay in that linear process for a little too long now, I realize. And I felt like from the very start, I should be looking at the composition as a whole with the eyes of finding the darks and the lights, and the contrast between the different like layers, right, the different foregrounds and backgrounds and things like that. And like you said, yeah, I think that without that, sooner or later without getting that right, sooner or later you're gonna find yourself in some kind of a situation that you have to like that you can't figure out how to fix because it came from the start.
Right. You know, well, and I'll pose the same question to you, Bruno, right? When you're creating any work of art, what do you generally tend to find yourself focusing the most on? You know, would you say it's composition, contrast?
Yeah, like it's shifting right now, right? As I'm actually learning about other ways that I should be looking at my composition from the start, right? Like you said, composition, and yeah, like for example, you know, the process of starting with the thumbnail, you know, maybe keeping in mind some kind of a line of composition that already works, you know, like trying to stay you know, in tune with that to give myself a better chance of a better composition. And then right after that, I'm looking at the contrast, like you know, like is my foreground gonna be the lightest or is it gonna be the darkest? Is my background gonna be the medium or the lightest or the darkest? Same thing, right? And I try to make those decisions, and then accordingly, you know, I start to shade in, right? But this is something recent that I started to implement into my process because I found out about, you know, some theories of composition regarding the lines of composition and also the different tones that the different layers will have, right? So, but I come from thinking about the line work, to answer your question, thinking about the line work and the line aspect of it first. You know, that's where I come from.
Okay.
But I'm shifting that.
That's a natural enough place to start. You know, I think that's like in any traditional apprenticeship, it's, you know, almost a given that you're going to start with that, because this can be the first thing that you do when you start tattooing somebody, is putting down that outline. And I don't know, it was I was given sheets of flash to shade and color, but you know, I mean, the line was such an assumption, you know, and it's just as important, you know. I just each of us can arrive at it at a different part in our process. How you guys doing?
Hey, guy, how's it going?
How's it
man?
going, guy?
Hello, guy.
Hey, guy, doing good, doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm trying to get caught up. Sunday is get caught up day, and
Me too.
well, I haven't touched my homework here, so that's got to happen. But there's also like 48 litter boxes and, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Standard life stuff.
Yep. Hey, cats are awesome, but yeah, they could be hard work picking up on those kitties.
Can.
But you know, I ain't trying to complain.
I like what you're
And-
saying. I think with what we're talking about, like, that is one of the hardest things to break away from is, you know, you tried to create line work so clean and so solid for such a long time that you've become practiced at it so much that it's one of the first things you think of whenever you start to draw or paint.
And of course, we still want to create that beautiful line work, but
Right.
you know, I think one thing that's really been revolutionary for me, and this might sound like a small thing, but I can be pretty deep into my design process and still look at it and say, huh, let me go into liquify and nudge this around a little bit more. You know, I could be shaded and colored, you know what I mean? And realize that's just the wrong curve there. You know, it really removed a limitation.
Right.
You know, rather than having to really have this stuff figured out early on. I mean, you still want to try, you know, but you still have that chance to make, you know, semi-major executive decisions without having to do full redraws.
Yeah, that liquify, since you brought it up and I started playing around with it, it's been like super helpful. Yeah, like I don't really see myself not using it, you know, like every time, at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
Great tool.
You know, even if I like a drawing, It's useful to at least, I can always think of something that I can make bigger and something that I can, improve the arc on. And, it might even be very subtle. But I always like, after I've done it, to, undo, redo a few times to just really see what kind of effect I've really made on it, and if it was worth it, if it was positive, or if I should do it again, but less so, or, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, Liquify and Warp have become very good friends of mine. Sometimes I like using the Warp tool a little bit more so over Liquify, just because I find that it can help change a few things at once that might need to be adjusted, without having to go in and be super specific, but it also keeps things a little bit more in proportion, as long as it doesn't get too crazy.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's more
So,
general. It's a
yeah.
general thing, and Liquify is a more specific thing. So it really depends on what you're doing. If you wanted to, increase the size of the head of a character, Warp is probably going to be, better for doing that without like accidentally changing the face too much, or whatever.
Right.
Just changing the size of it a little bit, because everything sort of expands proportionally. Where with Liquify, you're really getting in there and surgically nudging around the design as if it were on a rubber sheet.
Yeah.
Definitely saves a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm messing around with my mid-range, and I think when I'm doing it on a separate layer, and I think when I'm done with that, I'm gonna sort of Gaussian blur it to get rid of some of the brush marks, although I don't really care that much about the brush marks. But I'm trying to get enough pigment down, so to speak, that when I start doing layer effects and messing around with color, it won't all be white, which won't actually be changed by those layer effects. Stay white.
Now, it's one thing that I have noticed, Guy, is that whenever you're working on a lot of these exercises, you do generally tend to work on from what I can tell, is more or less a white background. Is there a reason behind that?
No, actually, and that's a good point. Maybe I need to experiment with something else here. That's I'm glad you brought that up, because what's up next, starting tomorrow, is we're gonna move into lighting, and that would be really nice to start from a mid-tone background, like Tavon often does.
Right. Yeah, it's just something that I've picked up and I've noticed, over the past few months, is that, anytime you're starting something new, you go straight into, say, a white piece of paper or white background. And I was just kind of curious if there was a reason behind that, or if.
No, you're it's a good thing you brought that up, because I don't know if that's pure inertia, just all these years of working on white paper and analog world. Even though when I paint, I almost always tint my canvas first, down to about a 40 or 50%. And it saves me a tremendous amount of time. So yeah, I'll definitely invoke that during the lighting exercises, because
That's a good point you bring up. I don't use that enough either, and it could be very useful. It kind of like just it helps a little bit in the sense that it provides like a tone already, right, that you can
Right.
kind of work with, instead of having it be white, unworked, and then it highlights the actual white.
Mm-hmm.
The real
Gives you a
highlights
little
even
bit
more.
more of a higher dynamic range that you can use.
Yeah.
Good question. So we just had a question come in through one of the Facebooks by Damon Tesh. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yep.
And they wanted to know, they said, I'm curious if Guy likes Procreate as a standalone drawing tool or if Photoshop is better, and if he uses paper for initial sketches.
Okay, I have not used Procreate until this last year, and I'm using it more and more. I mean, often, like right now, I'm in Photoshop just because I actually don't even have my own iPad yet. I keep borrowing my daughter's iPad, and I've got this really nice Cintiq setup that I just like, So there's, as far as drawing goes, there's really nothing that I've found that Procreate can't do that Photoshop does in terms of manipulating photos or making fine changes on things. I feel that I still have a lot more control in Photoshop, which just has way more tools. But as far as drawing goes, you want to composite a few things. You got some reference photos that you're going to bring together and kind of draw over and make a line drawing on a separate layer and prep it for a tattoo. All that you can do really well in Procreate, and it's less cumbersome than Photoshop. So yeah, I mean, if that's what you're wanting to do, which is just, the majority of all tattooers' workflow, then yeah, Procreate. Now, if you're doing post-production for publication kind of stuff, and you're like, okay, this photo looks pretty good, but the skin's a little green and that kind of thing. Yeah, you've got those tools in Procreate also, but Photoshop is just more optimized for that kind of thing. And like the cloning stamp and other tools that it has, Procreate is just not nearly as tricked out. You know what I mean? It's a much blunter instrument. Photoshop has got a whole team of programmers, and it costs a fair amount of money compared to Procreate. So, obviously it's loaded up with a lot more tools. And I find that for what I'm doing as a publisher, etc., I use those tools. But as a tattooer, I could easily get by with Procreate.
Wonderful.
All right. So yeah, now I'm actually knocking down my background a little bit, and I'm going to come back in and throw in some highlights, because why the heck not? And eventually I'm going to start messing with color. How's everyone else's drawings? I guess, yeah, let's cycle through those and see how everyone's doing.
Yeah. So, Ricardo,
Yeah.
you want to grab your iPad, man, and show us what you've been working on?
Yeah, I'm right here. Let's see. Give me 1 second here.
That skull is looking dope, man. I'm liking it.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I shaved down one of my charcoal sticks. I shaved it down with a razor. And I've just been using this like fine powder with a paintbrush.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, man. I like oil painting, and I'm trying to implement that as much as I can into my work now. But let's see if you can see that. Let me turn off this light real quick.
Let me
Oh, yeah.
spotlight you.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's not quite done yet.
Magical.
Yeah, I really like how the arms go out of focus. The sense of lighting is really nice. You could have just a couple of brush strokes of highlight along the bottoms of those curls of hair and along the bottom edge of like the eyebrows. Just a couple of subtle highlights there would wake it up.
Okay. Would you suggest doing it in whites, or would you kind of lean towards this like tealish kind of color that reflects onto the skin?
I think that, whites, if this was a tattoo, whites are obviously not going to be a viable tattoo color. So yeah, I mean, you can use white highlights in there, but you don't want to rely on it too much. You'll want to have something to define the edges. And, like a teal color could be good. Do it on a separate layer so you can, mess around with color and value in your curves and everything.
Cool. And then as far as the project goes, making it for a tattoo, do you would you suggest like a crisp kind of ovalish shape around here? Or- 'cause
I would suggest just doing something with that outer boundary so it isn't just like a bruise, you know.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
either just give it a little bit of negative space flow, or some kind of a break off, you know, a watercolored blotchy break off or something, you know.
Okay, cool.
There's a lot of ways you can do that. Just let it flow out into the skin around it a little bit. Let the skin flow into it a little bit.
Okay. Now I've thought about using the silhouettes and making them just a little bit more contrasted against this lighter blue, you know, back here. But I started to mess around with that and it looked kind of just too busy. Like it took away from her. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah,
I'll play
I think the subtlety of the background elements is part of what makes that work. You know, I think
Yeah.
this is actually one of your better drawings since
Thank
you've
you.
been hanging out here, and yeah, I wouldn't really mess with the composition much, but yeah, like breaking off the background some way, and then you know, possibly a few highlights in key places in the face. You know, the fact that the face isn't overly focused, I think is a good thing. You know, so just a couple. You know.
Okay. Okay, cool. I appreciate that compliment and thank you very much. It's been an amazing experience, like sitting down with you guys and being open to critique and stuff like that, man. It's been changing my work for sure. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool. Happy to hear that, man.
All right, what else we got here?
Let me switch the spotlight and let's take a look at, let's see, oh, Kirsten ducked off. Bruno, if you want to unmute yourself, I'm going to go through and spotlight you. If you could,
Yes, sir.
let's take a look at what you're working on, man. There you go.
Cool. So
Could
yeah,
you bring it a little closer to the camera?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Wow.
just now starting to work with work on the turtle a little bit more. I'm gonna jump back into the woman to tighten her up a little bit, but just kind of mixing it up and building the turtle now a little bit. And even though it's anatomy, I actually ended up using the liquify on her face, and I was surprised to, you know, how helpful it was, even with like anatomy.
Especially with anatomy, you know, and because sometimes it's just a little off, you know,
Correct.
and it's nice to be able to just nudge it around and say, oh, that looks better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very, very helpful. Like I said, I don't see myself not using it in every project.
Yeah,
And
the highlights in the face, you know, I think you really nailed that. You know, the shading, it's really beautifully rendered.
thank you, Guy. And I'm gonna be coloring the turtle. I'm gonna give the turtle like blues and green tones, and then maybe have some of those reflect on her skin a little bit here and there, and the other way around as well. Some of like the blushy tones on the turtle here and there, and of course incorporating the background tone a little bit and like the edges or something.
Very nice.
This is a reference that I put together with a couple images to help.
Yeah, I like
myself.
how you exaggerated the size of the face a little bit, you know, because I mean, in terms of tattoo purposes, that's always better. The features are going to hold up longer, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's great, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anatomy's tricky.
Awesome.
What you
Yeah,
got,
let's
Jason?
see. Man, I'm still working on composition. So I finally, it took me a little bit, you know, to go through and kind of get the facial anatomy right, which is something I have always struggled with, and I probably will always struggle with, just because to me faces are pretty difficult. And I tend to get lost in detail with them and proportions and ratios and, you know, lighting and all that stuff and how that affects, you know, the different planes of the face. So I generally tend to get pretty wrapped up in facial structures. You know, I'll probably go back through and do a little bit more contrast and kind of smooth out a few things, because right now I think she's got a little bit too much dark. right around the eyes. You know, so just really paying a little bit more attention to that, casting a little bit more light in a few areas. But right now I'm trying to go back through and just block in my color, and just trying to get everything a little bit more appropriate as far as like completion goes for the whole thing. Cause you can tell, like, you know, hands aren't even done. I haven't even started the turtle yet. You know, I still have the rest of her dress to do, still have a little bit more light to bring down on the body, and then throw an accent color in the background, which I'm thinking, if I look correctly, right? Let me pull up. This is a little trick that I love to use if I don't have a color wheel handy. Procreate has this amazing little feature called color harmony down here. So you see disc, classic, and then harmony. And if you tap on that, based on whatever color you already have selected, you can come up here and tap on right below colors. I believe it's usually set to complementary. If you tap on that, you'll see split complementary, analogous, triadic, tetradic. So it's kind of like a little cheat sheet. So if I go through there and I've got a lot of teal in the dress, then that means, you know, I'm going to want to incorporate a lot of magenta, this like pinkish magenta, and a bit of almost like a orangey tone. You know, maybe I'll throw some of that orange tone in the turtle itself. Maybe also some yellows or some greens, kind of playing off of the teal that I have in her dress. And then I'll probably throw maybe some magenta for the background.
Yeah,
So,
magenta would work well against all the teals and everything.
yeah, trying to get that at the right chromatic level though, and the right hue is going to be a little bit of a difficult thing for me, just because like I like bright colors and I want to put bright colors everywhere. But if you put bright colors everywhere, those bright colors aren't so bright anymore, right? Because you have to have enough contrast and you have to have enough muted tones to create that bright.
So I guess you
Yeah.
just have to ask yourself, which elements do you want to have appear the brightest? And
Right.
then, you know, take it from there.
Yeah, so I think if I do go with the magenta, maybe it'll be a bit more of like a washed out magenta. You know, maybe something a little bit more along the pinkish lines, or maybe even a darker magenta would be nice. I think that would work well because that'll allow other things to kind of pop forward and be a bit brighter, put a bit more emphasis on them.
Pinkish grays can be nice too.
Yeah.
So if I was going to make any comments about the face, is to take a close look at the nostrils and remember that her nose is in perspective. So the right nostril, that is the one on the left, should be, if you're looking at the reference photo, about, the two nostrils, they're about 70-30 in terms of proportions compared to each other, just because of the perspective in the photo.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I tend to get wrapped up in facial detail quite often.
Yeah,
So-
and that's one of the things about faces, and a lot of the time when people are doing a tattoo that has a face in it, the face kind of, it gets done right off the bat because it's sort of like, I better get on that face. But I like to try to set up the whole composition. Often I'm like nervous about the face, and it ends up being one of the things I do a little bit later on after I feel like I'm more warmed up.
That would probably be beneficial to me as well, is if I just save those things that I think are going to take the longest for last.
Well, yeah, I also, I'm always trying to juggle the thought of what is going to be the part of the body that I'm tattooing today. Like, let's say it's a sleeve, that they're definitely not going to want me working on that last hour. Let's just get that over with first.
That's a good way to approach it.
Yeah, that's a good thing to keep in mind for sure from the start. Usually, if you have anything to do close to the armpit, or close to the ditch, better get
Back
that
of the
done.
knee.
Yeah, better get that
Yep.
done from the start. Get their best out of them.
Definitely lets them sit for a lot longer, doesn't it? You're working
Yeah.
on big projects.
Yeah, if it's a sleeve, if I can finish the session on the outside upper arm, or the outside forearm, then that's probably going to keep them in the chair the longest.
Yep.
Yeah, the other thing that's come up a lot lately is numbing creams, right? People sometimes show up already wrapped. It's like, oh, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
How do you feel that guy when they show up like wrapped up? Like, what do you do in that kind of situation?
Well, I mean, there's not much you can do except roll with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the damage is already done. But if someone really has a very hard time sitting and they want me to use that stuff on them, then we need a plan. And the way it usually works, and I've been tattooed with that stuff, and it doesn't always help, right? In fact, I've had some of my shortest and worst sessions, using it, because once the numbness goes away, you're done, right? It's just, you've already set yourself up for anything that's like a normal amount of tattoo pain is going to be unacceptable. So after having a few failed, botched sessions, with Steve Morris and Don McDonald working on me, we arrived at, because I was just not doing well with the back of my neck. Like when we got up to those spots behind the ears, I just couldn't sit still. I was that guy. And I want to be patient with that guy because I'm him too. And so what we did is, from that point on, anytime we're working on my back, we'll go up there in the last hour of the session and I'll numb it. But by that point, I've had 4.5 hours of like regular tattooing. So it's not going to wreck my session. In fact, it might buy a little extra time, where otherwise your client might be just good. They're done. It's like, oh, but we've had this spot wrapped. So let's see how you're doing. They're like, oh man, I could sit for a while. Yeah. And of course it wears off pretty soon. You might only get a half hour with them or an hour, but that's still, if it's at the end of the session, that's bonus time.
Yeah, it comes through.
Right.
It's that timing, because you like you said, like you want to use it smart if you're gonna end up using it. Because like back team, for example, from my personal experience, you can use it as like throughout the whole session, and it's gonna do its job, and it's not really gonna jeopardize like the skin and the healing process, just from my own experience, right? But other more stronger numbing agents will definitely alter the skin to a point that you want to definitely make sure that you know how to use it to avoid working on the skin when it's actually not in the best place, right? To take the ink and then it doesn't heal well. I don't know if that's the kind of experience that you ended up having.
Well, in terms of healing, the thing that I've learned to stay away from the most is just any product that contains vasoconstrictors. Just don't go there. Their skin will die. It's just plain and simple. Their skin will die. You'll be able to work on it for hours. But then, they'll have to grow new skin and you'll have to redo that part of that too.
Exactly.
And you might even get blamed.
Yeah, if they ever, end up, I mean, I always recommend that, I let them know that they're not going to need it. It'll be all right. They'll be able to, they'll be okay with the back teen. I try to convince them of that. And usually it does the job. But if they already showed up with it or whatever, I do let them know, listen, I mean, there's a chance that because of that numbing cream that, something could happen just right off the bat, like just know that, something could happen and it's not really going to be from the work that I did. Right.
Yeah, no, I haven't really had much in a way of healing problems from the pre-numbing creams that I know of. It's really just been the vasoconstrictor products that have really been bad. Like there was this product that was out for a while called Sustain, and I think this was it was originally marketed, for men that wanted to prolong their action, right? Sustain, a lidocaine cream, but it was it's a vasoconstrictor product, and so you would use that on a client and they would go 100% numb, right, for like 3 hours. They'd be like, fucking hey man, this is great. And at the end of the session, man, I'm starting to hurt, can you put more of that stuff on, wrap me in it, so I'll go home. And then they get the gigantic centimeter thick oatmeal cookie scab, and it took a while, like a few months, especially since this stuff was getting widely used at conventions. That's where it got marketed. So it was just this brief moment in time where a ton of us started using Sustain, and then screeched to a halt when we looked at the results in horror. Funny.
Sustain.
But, definitely. It's the vasoconstrictor, so it stops blood flow. It keeps the numbing product in place longer because it's not getting slooshed away by normal metabolic processes. But as it turns out, those normal metabolic processes are kind of handy, especially after you've just beat the crap out of the person's skin and it needs to get on with the job of healing.
Yep.
But, then rewind even further, and there was the pill era. Everybody was taking, Vicodin or stronger. And that wasn't good either. That was not necessarily a healthy thing. And
it's harder for the client to sit well, right?
Well,
To do
that and you would get people that were, using the tattoo as an excuse to just pop pills. You'd get people who every time you hit the spot that was particularly painful, they would just pop one, even though it's going to take 20-30 minutes to kick in. You're going to be elsewhere by then, and are they really counting?
Right.
So I reached a point where if somebody wants to take anything, I want to know what, and I'm going to tell them when. They can ask my permission. But I've had people do face plants in the gravel out front. It's not good. There were also a couple of fatalities in the tattoo industry, and fortunately no one that I tattooed, but one of them was a former client of mine, and it was just from abuse of it, but it was still preventable.
See, now one of the tricks that I've used over the years to just help to take the edge off a tiny bit, Advil.
Yeah, absolutely.
Advil has been a godsend for me for all of my sessions. I'll take 2 about an hour before we get started. That way they've had plenty of time to kick in. I know they're in full effect, and then if I need to, I'll take a few more, maybe an hour or 2 in, and then I'm usually good for 5-6 hours, maybe longer.
Yeah, that combined with strategic use of Bactine, and it's definitely not your grandfather's tattoo experience. Sit down, shut up, quit convulsing.
Spray them down with alcohol.
Convulsing.
I generally tend to tell a lot of my clients, like, listen, we've got a rough spot coming up the next time you come in, and I'll let them know. I'll send them a message and remind them, like, hey, listen, you may want to take a few Advil before you come in, just to help take the edge off. Otherwise, you should be just fine. But, it's all a mental state. It's all in your mind. And if you can remember that while getting tattooed, you'll have a great time and it won't be that bad.
People that are coming for the first time, I always suggest they, on top of the usual recommendations, be well fed and rested, drink plenty of water, don't be hungover. Bring a bottle of Bactine, because I would provide it, but it's better that they bring it because it's $6 a bottle. And I will use the entire bottle in one day, and it's to both of our benefit. And then that combined with ibuprofen and those other aforementioned things, and we're usually going to have a great session. It's almost unheard of for people to come out here and not make it through.
I like how you use the Bactine a lot. When you clean, when one is like cleaning with the soap, just to kind of clear the area, you usually like use the Bactine, and I found that like very helpful. Like that seems to be a great way to go about it. Just have a ton of Bactine.
Well, so I've got a squirt bottle, right, that I keep Bactine in. The one thing I want to say about that is there does seem to be a point in the session, let's say the 5th hour, where they start complaining about the burn. Like the burn up until then is like, oh, that means it's going to work. But there comes a point where the burn is almost worse than the relief. Like it's just almost not worth it. So I try to pay close attention. And when we start getting to that point, I might switch over to, mostly just using soap.
Now, is there a specific kind of soap that you use? Do you use tincture of green soap, or are you using Doc Bronner's?
It's been Dr. Bronner's for a long time.
Yeah, peppermint?
No, people were complaining about the burn.
Really?
I think right now it's lavender that we're using.
Yeah, that's what I use, the peppermint. I haven't had any complaints. I got tattooed with it, and I liked it. It was kind of just like refreshing on the area.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe my clients are burning.
Yeah, you know what? It's important that you try it yourself in your own tattoo experience, and if it seems to work well for you, then roll with that. I think everyone should get tattooed in their own workstation at least once, with so that they could see what it's like, and you may find yourself changing a few things.
Yeah. Good point, man. Comfort.
Should try that.
Even like in my own workstation, I found that the lights, it's really important to be mindful, because I use these outlights that are right above the work area. Important to be mindful that they're not unnecessarily directed into somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
Right. Thing that you got to always remind yourself is, by and large, people are not going to speak up on their own behalf. They're just going to put up with it. They're intimidated or whatever. And even if they're not, they don't want to mess with you. They want the process to be unencumbered, want you to be in your zone. And so you have to learn to, they're flexing their hand again. All right, I'm going to give them a stretch break, because they're not going to ask for it necessarily. And if they do, it means it probably got pretty bad.
Yes. Absolutely.
I like that, man, being attentive of the people that you're working on. It helps everybody. It helps that stress. It helps calm everything down. They can usually sit a little bit longer. You feel like they feel like they're being taken care of a little bit more too. It just creates a calmer environment for everybody. It's
a safe zone. They're definitely going to come back a lot more likely if they feel like it's a safe zone. That you're conscious of and aware of the fact that they're human, and that they're maybe not having the easiest time, and
it'll benefit everybody, because you get to work longer on them if they're comfortable. Like it'll give you an extra hour or whatever. Other than, like you said, they'll want to come back because they know that they're going somewhere where they're like thinking about these things and making sure that they're comfortable, and so on. So yeah, that's definitely an important factor, I think, for sure. Making sure that they're in the best possible situation environment, right? To deal with all that pain and do their part. Just kind of zone out if possible.
That's what I love to do, man. Whenever I get tattooed, I throw headphones on. I put myself into like a sensory deprivation kind of mode where I'll put headphones on with like calm, relaxing, very almost like trance inducing kind of music, right? Just very slow melodic tones essentially. I'll put something over my eyes or just close my eyes and I'm out like a light. I will be in my zone and, you know, it's like, okay, just tap me. Let me know if we're taking a break. Let me know when we're done. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and zone out if it's a pretty painful spot and just let them go.
Yeah, dude. I listen to water.
Oh, that's a good one, dude.
I listen to like ocean waves and stuff, and that helps a lot.
I actually found it's an 11-hour, basically like soundtrack or classical-esque kind of music. I think it was a YouTube video. And I found some way to like download it and save it as an MP3. And I have that on my phone, man. I have not once reached the end of it.
Wow.
You know, and I'll try to start it at different spots too. That way it's never the same thing over and over again. But yeah, never once have I hit the end of it. Of course, if I'm going and getting tattooed by someone and you know, I've got a lot of questions for that person, there's a pretty good chance I'll forego the headphones and I'll just pay attention the entire time and like make mental notes. Sometimes I'll even go full on nerd and like make voice notes in my phone as they're working on me.
Right. And then of course we make sure that all the pain management technology is in effect, and you know, it doesn't have to be a thing that needs escaping from necessarily. When I had my back work done, I worked on paintings, and it's not easy, right? Because there's this thing, pain, that's trying to get your attention. But anytime I was fully focused on the painting, I didn't feel the pain. I mean, like literally didn't feel it. It's almost like an off switch. But the minute I drifted away from my focus, there it was. And then I have to push myself back into the painting. And after a certain point, I was just like too physically tired to do it. But I probably got 3 hours or so, you know, and I've done this a few times of what I think of as free time, you know, because I managed to get some painting done and not hurt.
Bonus time.
Now, how did that work? Did you just have that like below a massage table, or like were you sitting up the whole time?
When I do backs and when I've had my back done, yeah, I sit people up. They're leaning forward on a massage table that's set all the way to the top height. And so they're straddling a chair with a pillow in front of them, a couple pillows in front of them. They can kind of arrange things to get nice and comfortable. And so they're kind of hunched forward. And then there's the whole surface of the massage table in front of them that they can spread stuff out, you know, watch a movie on their laptop, whatever. And in my case, just set things up and paint.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I just like the stretch that I get that way. And I think that people get a little bit less sore from laying in that same position. You don't get parts of the back that compress in on themselves. It's all stretched out really nicely.
Well, and you also get to see the pieces of whole, like when you're stepping back from a painting or a drawing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it'll kind of disappear over the horizon at the top when you're like working on the bottom. You look up and it's like, holy shit, this is like tattooing the bottom of a boat. But that's part of the thrill of it, right?
Yeah. Well, get tattooed in your own station. You guys are more than welcome to come here and tattoo me. So come on down.
Ricardo, don't worry. I already have that planned.
All right. That's what I'm talking about.
We'll be there, man.
Cool.
Yeah, and we got to follow through and get those dates down too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It'll be a
I
pleasure.
already figured out what I'm going to tattoo on Ricardo since he gave me free reign. Ricardo, you're going to get a My Little Pony unicorn
Nice.
sitting
Oh,
on top of
man.
like some periwinkle clouds.
All
That's what I-
right.
That's for.
Don't worry,
I'm
Bruno.
sorry,
We can get them
Bruno.
matching.
Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
we'll just do matching tattoos on you guys.
Great.
I'm okay with it. Let's go for it.
Deal.
I mean, you got to think about it though, right? I mean, if you saw a guy in a bar with a My Little Pony tattoo, I'd probably stay away from him.
What's
That
up?
dude
how
would have
visible
had
it
to
is.
defend that tattoo several times, and yeah,
Kind of a boy named Sue situation.
Right.
right.
He catches you looking at his tattoo. He's like, "You looking at my tattoo, man? You think it's funny? Huh?"
My joke to you.
That's actually where I would have gone up to him and been like, "Nah, man, it's actually really well done. Who did it? Because like that's really nice."
That tattoo is awesome.
You're fucking with me, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. That's good.
Yeah, I
I'm
might
excited
actually,
about it. It'll be fun. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I might actually start color on this thing in a minute.
Nice.
Ooh,
Jason.
getting fancy. Now, do you generally tend to start with more cool colors, or do you just go straight into whatever area you're working on?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've ever had, like, when doing tattoo designs, a worked out strategy for these things. You know, it's pretty intuitive. When I paint, obviously it's going to be, and you know, with tattooing also, you're going to arrive at a more systematic way of doing it. But Photoshop or Procreate are just so flexible that I haven't really arrived at haven't fallen into a rut with that yet.
I'm just
But
always
yeah,
curious about different people's processes and how they go about approaching different things. It's always just been a fascination of mine.
so I think with this one, I'm going to be kind of taking it in a majority minority approach where, you know, since so much of the color scheme is going to be in the reddish browns, you know, the girl, her hair, you know, pretty much her whole, you know, part of the design. I'm going to do that first so that when I come in and, you know, work in that, you know, range of teals and blues and yellows in this turtle, that you know, it's a much smaller design element, so I'll have the rest of the color scheme to sort of work off of.
Gotcha.
I can't wait to see everybody's tomorrow. I always get all excited when I see everybody's work for the week.
It's been really fun. It's like an unveil, you know. Yeah, I feel like I've been doing the worst drawings, not the worst, but you know, I'm looking at everybody else's and they appear to have more effort in them than mine.
Probably because we're all trying to catch up to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking awesome, man. Today I saw that Chris Hall, he posted his, and I thought that was brilliant, man. Like, you know, the direction that he took it in, that was
I did
great.
not see
I
his,
thought that
but
was
you know,
really awesome.
Yeah, that was
he's
really cool.
really good
Man.
that way. Chris is the guy that's going to do the surprising thing. So why didn't I think of that thing? You know?
Mhm. Yeah, like it kind of reminded me, oh man, yeah, like maybe I should you know, think outside the box a little bit more, kind of thing, right? It's always healthy.
That's how I felt with Ricardo's seahorse.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say, Ricardo tends to be very creative as well.
Thanks, man.
I always try to stick pretty close to the assignment, just so that that way I can go through and really look at that in comparison to a lot of other people's work.
Hmm.
And just so that I can really drill down on, you know, whatever it is that we're covering that week, whether it's color complements or contrast or whatever. You know, I always like to try to keep it pretty similar so that that way we can go through and it makes it for a little bit of an easier analysis so that I can pinpoint areas that I need to work on in a little bit more, or just put a little bit more effort into next time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the more specific you are with following the assignment, I think the more you can home in on those kinds of things. But I think the important thing with all these projects is that people get into it. You know, I think that's, you know, allowing enough flexibility. And it's the same thing when clients approach us as artists, having that little bit of flexibility where, you know, they aren't so glued to this particular interpretation of their idea that it takes all the enjoyment out of it. Where if you do have some thoughts on, what if we try it this way, that they might love that because it's still in the spirit of what they asked you for.
Right.
Really like
And
doing
unless
that
you
with
get
the
those
clients.
people,
Go ahead,
I
Jason.
think I was going to say, unless you get those people that are out there that just say, yeah, I've got a spot here, fill it.
Yeah.
Which
Um,
I was talking to Ricardo and Bruno and Kyer earlier this week about that exact thing. I have a client that came to me and I was
Mhm.
working on her back, something I had started like 2 years ago. And, you know, just doing some more work on it. And she, in the past year, she's gotten a very large portion of her body covered, as well as, you know, a whole bunch of other things done. More power to her. That's awesome. Not all of it was done by me, which, hey, that's fine. You know, I'm not one of those like possessive tattooer, you're my client, you know, kind of guys. But she did say that she's like, oh yeah, by the way, I've got this one area over here. You know, I'd love to just get that filled up, you know, come up with something and tattoo me. When can we do it? Huh?
Yeah, it's intimidating in a way, right?
Yeah, I don't really like that. There's not enough boundaries within
Direction.
which for me to work, you know?
Right.
I like having some direction to run in.
Yeah, I try to, you know, have that come out of them somehow. If that's what they tell me, I explain to them that, well, you know, if you're gonna give me that much free range, let's do something biomech, you know?
Yeah.
And just as an example, right? And I'm like, yeah, because you know, we tend to have completely different perspectives on the things we like. So I think we would be better off if, you know, maybe you think about some of the things that you would potentially like to have in that area. You know, try to squeeze something out, right? And then something I can work with, and then take off with it, you know, like with that free range that they give me. But like it makes it real tricky when like they don't really give you any type of direction, right?
Well, especially if you have a little bit of range. I mean, if you only do one thing, you know, and you happen to be super specialized and, you know, let's say you only do chrome skulls, right? And somebody will say, they might say, I like the gold chrome or I like the silver chrome because you do both. And this is the spot, you know, makes something that works the best there. It wouldn't make sense for them to have too much more you know, input than that because, you know, they already are asking you for your thing, which is very specific. But if you've got any range at all, and, you know, even like in my case, I can do, you know, dark bio, or I can do very colorful bio, or, you know, something more robotic, something more foresty, you know, and, you know, crystals, whatever. There's so much range there. So often I'll ask them, because, you know, when somebody says, just do your thing, man, what they're saying is they've seen something that you did that they liked and they want that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So then
Very
I'll
true.
ask them, what is it that, is there anything of mine that you've seen that you really like? And don't worry, I'm not going to give you the same tattoo. I just want to see what it is that caused you to contact me, you know? And maybe you can show me 4 or 5 photos of work of mine and even of other artists that you really like, and tell me why you like them.
Yes.
And so then you at least have a little bit more of a grip on the situation, and a little bit more of an understanding of their needs, because really that's the thing, you're trying to figure out their needs.
Yeah, and in your own language too. Is if they're like taking a look at like some of the tattoos that you've done, then you're kind of speaking the same language because they're using your tattoos as a reference.
Yeah, hey, that's exactly it. And if they're using tattoos from other artists that work in similar styles or whatever, then I'm certainly not going to be offended or anything like that. They're showing me what they like, and I want to know that makes my job easier. It takes the guesswork out.
Right.
I enjoy the client. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those artists that's like, oh man, I wish they would just shut up and let me do my thing. Because I already work in other mediums and I have plenty of opportunity to do that.
Right.
I want them to trust my judgment once they've talked to me about their tattoo and that kind of thing. But that's not really an issue. It really has never been one. But
you like that
sometimes. What's that?
You like the challenges, like the cover-ups and stuff.
Yeah, I like the cover-ups, and I don't know. I've just tried to take an attitude of, if somebody throws me a curveball, that I'm gonna try to roll with it, and I'm never gonna let myself take the attitude of, oh man, this guy again.
Right.
Like if I've invited somebody into my chair, that I'm gonna embrace it, even if they turn out to be a weird flat earther or whatever. I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I always do. It's never been bad for me. I know other artists that have had nightmare scenarios come up, and I wonder how much of it is their client and how much of it is them.
Yeah, I think the second that you put yourself in that state of mind, it's very likely that you're actually gonna not have the best session, because from the start you're already like, God damn, this fucking flat earther motherfucker,
Right.
Sorry, said too many bad words there. I'm sorry.
I don't think there's any small children listening today, so we're good.
Well, I think you guys both hit on a very important point there. It's all a matter of perspective, right?
Yeah.
You can choose to look at something and say, this isn't going to be a pleasant or a positive experience. Or you can turn around and say, you know what? I'm really appreciating this challenge. Let's see what I can do with it.
Mhm.
Right. And two totally different mindsets to look at the same situation. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that just look at things from a very negative mindset.
Yeah, it's easy to get
that's-
grumpy or jaded, after enough years in this thing.
Mhm.
You can easily arrive at this, oh God, not again, kind of, and before you know it, you're not excited about going to work, and then you might even lose track of the fact that you wanted this career, and it actually is the thing that you might be best suited for on this earth, and there's probably not another career that's going to make you happier, and that you're definitely not suited to work in a cube farm, and and that you've got what you wanted, and you could lose track of that.
Yep. Absolutely.
And
And then you
one of the things I like to
stumble
do
onto
is
communities like we have here, and it completely changes your perspective on a lot of things. And it makes you appreciate everything all over again. It really kind of drives that interest back up and makes you remember why it is that you love doing tattoos. At least that's what I found.
that's definitely the best way to put it. I think that's where we're all at, for sure.
It's important not to get too cut off, and like in my own case, there was a long period of doing tons of conventions, but like with parenthood and COVID and you name it, just getting older and life getting more complicated, inevitably that kind of thing just kind of gets a smaller and smaller role in your life, and before you know it, you're just doing a grind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, what we get to do is incredible, man. It's an amazing thing. when you sit back and look at the fact that you're your own boss, you know, you create your own environment. People are drawn to it because of the way that you create your environment and your art. It's pretty incredible.
Some people find almost a magic or mystique to it. You know, it's like from the outside, it might look way cooler than it might seem when you're in that grind state of mind.
Right. Yeah, I was just sharing the other day that you know, something of that along those lines kind of happened to me without me even noticing. You know, I had kind of changed the way that I you know, would go into tattooing, you know, kind of forgetting how incredible it is and how great of an opportunity it is every time. And, you know, as soon as I noticed it, you know, I kind of tried to reprogram, you know, like the way I was looking at things, you know, and ever since then, I feel like, you know, I've been enjoying every tattoo so much more because I'm trying to remember, you know, like the excitement it makes me feel, and, you know, kind of just trying to change my my vision of it that kind of got distorted along the way, maybe because, you know, overworked or whatever it may have been, right? Sometimes it's good to, you know, take another look at how fortunate we are, and how great of an opportunity it is every time that you go into a tattoo and you get to, you know, decorate somebody's body, and you also get to use all the knowledge that you've been, you know, working hard to gather and so on. So it's, yeah, it's good to kind of reevaluate, right? Like the way you feel about certain things. Sometimes they can make a big difference.
Yeah, I think especially with enough years in this industry, that's the easy trap to fall into. And hang on 1 second, I'm gonna have to step away.
Yeah, it's you know, and we are really truly blessed to do what we do day in and day out, you know. We get to change people's lives. You know, we
In
get
a
to help them
positive way.
overcome certain things and change their minds about different things, and it really
I
is a
actually am
blessing.
gonna have to step away.
Go for it.
I feel like I've got my drawing most of the way there, at least enough that I'm not embarrassed
wow.
about it. I might tweak with Turtle a little bit.
Quick, man.
Looks great.
Thanks. And I look forward to seeing everybody's drawings tomorrow night. And perhaps I'll see some of you later this afternoon at David's painting workshop. I'll be there, and I got to run. But you folks have a nice next few hours.
Take it easy,
Bye,
man.
guy.
Take
You
care.
too, guy.
Cheers.
Enjoy.
Something that I try to remember every day when someone comes in, it's like you're physically changing someone's life.
Yeah.
You know, don't forget that.
Yeah, man.
As much as, you know, I mean, yeah, there's only so many times you can be excited about doing a pocket watch tattoo or an infinity symbol or anything like that. You know, yeah, it gets, you can sit back and you can look at things and you can say, okay, it's another pocket watch. Okay, it's another infinity symbol. It's another whatever, right? But when you sit back and you remember that, hey, me doing this tattoo is literally going to change someone's life, you know, I better be on my A game because I want them to remember that, and I really want to help them. It's a pretty powerful feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
No
Unless,
doubt.
of course, I'm tattooing Ricardo. In that case, you know, it's more or
Bust out
less
the
just out of
blindfold,
boredom.
Yeah, just bust out the blindfold and let's go for it.
If I'm gonna have to tattoo you with a pirate eye patch on,
Yeah.
I'm all about it, dude. Just don't be
Okay.
surprised if I also bring my inflatable dinosaur suit and tattoo you in that.
Why are we waiting?
Dude, that's it, man.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
live,
Take it to the
we'll
next level with
webcast the whole thing too, man.
the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those like inflatable T-Rex suits, and it's kind of comical whenever I wear it because they're like one size fits most, right? But when I put it on, like I can only really see out of like the bottom 2 inches of the little window that they have. So like I'm sitting there the whole time like this, trying to see out of that little like plastic window to see what I'm doing. Like it's pretty funny, dude. It's pretty funny.
That makes it even better.
I mean, that's what I think.
I'm ready.
Everyone's stuff is coming out so good.
Thank you.
Yours too, Kirsten.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, yours is coming along great. Look at the
Mhm.
texture in those flowers.
Yeah.
Look at that. Hold on. Let me spot
Can you
it.
The
highlight
face,
it?
the face. I love the face and the turtle. Yeah, it's coming together. Oof.
Well, let me see if I
Hold on.
can.
Oof.
Let's take a look at what you got.
There you
Kill it.
go.
Bam!
Look at that. I'm throwing mine away.
Stop
I
it.
quit.
The only
I
thing
quit.
that's
I'm
done,
out. I quit.
I mean, I keep going like this, and I know
Yeah.
you can't see it, but like, I don't know, doing that just helps a shit ton.
It's
Yeah,
like
zooming out.
stepping away from it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's coming
You're
together.
stepping away, but not stepping away.
Whoa, man.
Did you guys see the on
That's deep.
Procreate? Did you see that new, I don't even know if it's new, but I just figured it out, that like reference tab that you can have like your reference in the corner of the screen, and then as you're working on your stuff.
What?
Anybody know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, hold on. So if you click on your little like wrench thing and then go to canvas and then flip on the reference thing, your like another window will pop up, and
Nice. That makes it
you
way
can-
easier.
you can basically zoom in on like if I want to do this turtle, I can just zoom in on the turtle, but still zoom in on the turtle here.
Nice.
And then you can
Man.
like color pick from it and everything. It's so dope.
Killer.
That's a good little trick.
Yeah. Just blew
Yeah,
my mind.
I'll just figure that out. Does anybody know what the new next class is for tomorrow?
The
Like
reference.
What?
Not just in general, what the new class is.
No, I don't think they've released that yet.
Oh. I always get excited about those.
Right.
I'm just waiting for the notification that Sandy posted the references so I can go look. For real.
Yeah, they don't generally tend to release that until like the morning of, which is kind of annoying sometimes, but it is what it is.
It's fun. It gives you something to look forward to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have a question. Do you think the turtle could be a little bigger?
Let's
Wow.
see.
Turtles come in all different shapes and sizes, unless of course you're talking about, Ricardo's tortoise that he drew last Monday, which was not a turtle. Thank you. I was going to call you out on that, but I decided not to.
You should have, man. You should have.
You're like,
Maybe-
Ricardo, the assignment was to draw a turtle, not a tortoise.
It's in the family. It's in the
Dude.
family, bro.
I'm drawing a tortoise.
What even is the difference?
Tortoises are
Well-
land-dwelling creatures, where turtles are usually more aquatic.
God damn! Look at you.
So it would be like calling somebody in the Navy a Marine or somebody in the Army
Exactly.
a Navy.
Exactly.
I'm trying to pay more attention, man. I'm trying to. So if you notice that I'm like kind of drifting off over here, you know what I mean? Just be like, hey, Rick, come back. Where you at, man?
That just made me think about,
Ricardo,
I don't even know
you're
why.
never on to begin with. How could you drift off?
It's possible. I just keep floating. I don't know. I think I like the size of it as it is. It wouldn't hurt to be a little bit bigger because you can get a little bit more detail in it, maybe.
Oh yeah. I just didn't want to like keep going on it. If I was like, oh, man, he could be like a little bit bigger, but I think I don't know. I think it's all right. Kind of
Yeah.
looks like has a dinosaur neck, but we'll fix it. Like,
I
Yeah.
think it's a cute little size.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah, I wouldn't change it because it's like it honestly, I think it really fits your composition because it's more like a baby turtle, right?
Mhm.
You know, and that's something that someone might be enamored with to that extent.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
They're like, oh, look at this cute little baby turtle.
Yeah. And in the defense of the tortoise, that was actually like a really small, tiny, like fairy person that was on that turtle.
It was a
Proportions.
tortoise. Look at the
Proportions, man.
legs. Look at the legs. Look at the legs.
I used to
Tell me
own
that's not a
couple of
tortoise. Go ahead.
I don't
Go
even
ahead,
remember.
look it up.
I don't even
Look it
know
up.
where the picture's at. I don't even know
Look
where
it
the
up,
picture's
Ricardo.
at
Look it
now.
up. Tell me I'm wrong.
All right. Let me see. Tortoise versus turtle. There's probably gonna be like some cage fighting of them somewhere.
oh man, they got like little uniforms on.
Okay, I see.
One's got a set of brass knuckles.
Grills in his mouth.
A fight to the death.
nunchucks.
Nunchucks.
Yes. Break out the nunchucks. Here come the tortoises. One of the funniest things I ever saw in my life. This was back when I was a kid. It was springtime at the zoo, right? And you know, I'm there with my parents, my brother, and family, and you know, whatever. And we're just making our way around, and we're looking at all the animals, and we come across these the like tortoises here at the Philadelphia Zoo, right? And these tortoises are like 100 some odd years old. And I mean, they look it. They are not a very gentle or well-aged 100 and something years old. They are a very rough 100 and something years old. Okay. And I just remember seeing this one turtle trying to climb on, or this one tortoise trying to climb onto another tortoise's back. And I thought they were like wrestling and whatnot. And no, they were going at it.
They're just wrestling. It says
Like, is that wrestling?
one of the major.
Why are
key
the
differences-
tortoises fighting? What's
They're
up,
not
Ricardo?
fighting. They're making them more. It says one of the major key differences. Tortoises spend most of the time on land. Yeah, turtles are adapted for life spent in water. Tortoises have more rounded and domed shells, where turtles have thinner and more water dynamic shells. So
Tortoises
Which
have
is
the
pretty much
coolest
describing
shells,
dude,
man.
tortoises are awesome.
Yeah, dude. I used to own 2 of them, Alpha and Omega, and
Nice.
Oh my god.
they were amazing, dude. Like I could just, yeah,
Did
they
you
had
get them
like
for walks?
spikes. No, I didn't. But they didn't get that big, but they did grow with me. I had them for years, and I ended up giving them to a friend that like had the appropriate land for it, you know, the appropriate
Yeah.
space that they needed. But they're so cool looking, man. Like they're super biomech. Like their skin is full of like little spikes and scales, and they're really really cool looking. And their shells, you know, they're very intricate. You know, you see all those inner kind of patterns that they have on every little lump or whatever you want to call it on the shell. Yeah, they're awesome. Regular turtles are cute, but they're not so dinosaur like the tortoises.
Right?
Yeah,
Tortoises are like ancient creatures.
yeah, totally. They look like it, and they can get
Well,
big.
like I
man.
said, they look rough when they get older.
Mm.
I mean, humans do too.
Some.
I think they live like 80 something years usually, right?
I think
Tortoises.
some live a lot longer than that.
No way.
Can be up over 100, can't they?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
well over 100.
I don't think they can die. I think it's like I think they're like trees.
I think you're right. I think they're immortal.
But I had to I had to flip them over a bunch of times, and they could have like died like that. Like, you know, I
Yep.
came home and they were like You know, like pooping.
Ma-
Yeah, I was gonna say, do they make noises when they're all flipped over like that?
Huh?
Are they freaking out when they're flipped over? Like, do they make a lot
Yeah,
of noise?
yeah, they freak out, man. They can't turn over.
Wow.
They have to
It
have
must
like
be like the largest inconvenience.
for real. It happens to bugs too. They're like, damn it, damn it. You see their little like they're like keep moving like God damn it. You know, like they got the strength for it, but they just can't turn around.
I appreciate bugs. I really do. Like I just do not like the bugs that like fly with their arms forward, you know, like really coming at you. I don't like those ones.
Scary, huh?
Some cockroaches here in the palmetto bug, I think they call them. They will fly towards you. Like if you try to
Yeah,
kill
I don't like that.
yeah, they'll try to get you. That's how I found out that roaches fly.
Man, they're got them big in Texas too.
yeah.
They're everywhere.
They hiss.
Yep. Hissing
Yeah, they
cockroaches.
hiss. Yeah.
They hiss?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, they hiss. It's yeah. My science teacher had like a tank filled with like 7 of them as a pet.
I mean, it's an odd pet, but I mean, hey, if there are people out there that can take flies and bees and keep those as pets,
What?
like I'm not talking like colonies, I'm talking individual ones.
Right. A fly?
Yeah, you can put a string on it.
Yep.
You guys are fucking with me for real.
Yeah.
No,
Look it up on
no,
YouTube,
for
dude.
real.
I'm
I'm telling you, I've seen it in person. Okay, back in my trailer park days, I have a buddy of mine who would capture these flies in like 2 like Dixie cups, put it in the fridge for like less than 5 minutes, so it like hibernates or whatever. Take it out, tie dental floss around it, and then after it's done hibernating, it just starts flying away. And he like holds it.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm not fucking around.
Very low maintenance pet for anyone out there viewing this.
Don't try it at home.
Yeah.
Wild.
Don't be sticking flies in your fridge.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'd like to have a turtle.
I was
That's
gonna say,
surreal,
I'm
though, like a
probably
fly
gonna
with
get rolling in a little bit, guys.
Okay.
So I figure we'll give it maybe another 10 minutes.
Sounds good, man. It's been a fun one.
Yeah.
Always is with you guys. It's weird because we actually, the 4 of us get together on Zoom way more often than I think other people realize.
Like
for
every
us,
other day.
This is like a Tuesday night, you know?
Yeah, man.
And we're
Like our
seeing each
drawing
other while we're
session.
tattooing too.
Yeah, but that's only so we can make fun of you, Ricardo.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I'm down.
You're just such an easy target, man.
Go for it. Bring it on.
Easy target.
He is. It's like low hanging fruit. It really doesn't take a whole lot to make fun of him about something.
No hanging fruit, dude. That's funny.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm the perfect target for criticism and for people to make fun of me, but I'll usually go right back at them.
Cool with me. I like it.
The reason why I love this community.
To make fun of me.
No. Yes.
No, not really. Yes, Ricky. Yes.
Yeah, Ricardo, I came up with the perfect idea of what I'm going to tattoo on you when I come out to visit.
All right.
You're getting a
Yeah,
tattoo
sure.
machine.
A tattoo machine.
Yes, sir.
I really want those. I checked out that fuck.
Full sentences now. You can do it.
Jesus Christ. The goddamn brushes that you showed us the other night.
Yeah, the
When
ones
we
I
were
demoed
zooming?
for you.
Yeah, the ones you demoed for us, right?
Yeah, I checked those out. Those are sick.
Yeah. Are you
Oh,
sharing your
right.
video?
Highly recommend. What?
Oh yeah, there you are. I see it. Never mind.
Yeah, man. Terrible connection.
Yeah, those the new tattoo smart brushes, by the way, Get Lit and the Wave set by Grime are incredible. Absolutely incredible. I just picked up Get Lit and it is on another level. I mean, it's all like torch parts and flames and stuff, but what you can create with that is unbelievable.
Like the name of it.
We all know you love the name of it, Bruno.
I know you do. Yeah, man. Great brush set for real. They're just game changers, man. Time savers.
That whole website is just a game changer.
Yeah.
For real.
It's not like you're gonna do like the same exact thing, but right away, you know, you already got the elemental shape and form and angle that you selected, and then from there you save so much time, and now you can be creative, you can tweak, you can, you know, like choose your colors, whatever. It's just great, yeah, to have those
It's
tools in
great
general.
Great for helping build composition, which is
Right.
what I generally use them for. There are other people out there that may go through and, you know, take them and just be like, oh, cool, new flash, right? And just say, oh, you want a torch or a lantern? Stamp. There you go. But when you use it to create unique compositions and you use it the way that it was intended, it's absolutely amazing what you can come up with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then taking that and then drawing your own version of it, definitely the way to go.
Right. Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, guys, your opinion on this. Can you see that from where you're at? Does it look
Not that well. You may want to grab the phone and take it closer.
Drop this down. Hang on 1 second.
Can we pin him so I can see?
See,
Yep.
flip it around. All right, can you see it now?
Oof,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Nice, man.
Is that the one that you started on that day that you went live? Let's go.
Yeah, that's the one.
Right, dude. That's killer. That crown is killer, bro.
Thanks.
Yeah, I
man.
love the crown.
All right, cool.
I'd like to see you bring a little bit more contrast and a little bit more background closer in on the left-hand side from what I'm seeing.
Right here. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say bring that in a little bit closer
Right.
so that, I mean, obviously leave like a lighter halo around this back bird skull here that you have obscured. No, the back.
Oh, this guy right here. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Obviously leave like a little bit of a halo around that, but I'd bring that background in a bit closer to it.
On this side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's gonna add a lot.
It just feels empty on that side right now.
It does. Okay. And then that's like the first thing you're seeing, right? Because I'm wondering what it is that everybody sees first.
And also like maybe a little more separation, like a hair of a drop shadow, I guess, underneath the crown, showing on the skull to show like the separation of the two things.
Yeah.
I'd also like to see a little bit more detail in that bird skull that's kind of blurred out to the background, the furthest one back.
Okay.
I'd like to see it because that's not going to be back on such a far plane
Yeah.
that you're not going to see any of the detail in it kind of obscured the way that it is.
Right.
It's still going to be on a close enough plane that you can pick out some of that detail, maybe not as sharp. You know, definitely don't give it as much contrast.
Yeah.
But I would definitely hold on. There we go. I would definitely go through and add some more detail and bring it closer to the viewer, because the way that you have it now, even though it is rounding off towards the back portion of the head, where you have that eye socket and the detail that's in that, just based on the spacing of those three bird skulls, you would have a lot more detail in that bird skull
Right.
in the upper left to keep
Yeah.
that on the same plane of the one that's all the way furthest to the right.
That's a
Right.
really good observation right there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because there's gonna be like pearl inlay with his darker patches, that darker like stroke. There'll be some like pearled kind of effects, you know what I mean? The interior will be a little bit more shaded, so I'm going
Right,
darker
right.
so that way I can just put some strong highlights on that like roundish shape once I get into constructing that. But one of my major concerns right now too is like how dark this is turning out right here. Like I'm not too sure if I like that. It like just draws my eyes straight to it, so I think I need to
Mhm.
soften that all up too.
Right.
I
Like,
would
Right.
try to
definitely
keep that.
soften that up,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because right now that spot is on the same plane as the back of the eye socket.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
No. So that
Yep.
you need to bring forward a little bit more,
Mhm.
definitely soften it up, decrease some of the contrast in it
Yeah,
so that it's not on that same level.
cool.
And I feel like when you add a little bit of a darker like
Mhm.
ambient occlusion to the bottom of that mandible, it's really going to make your eyes feel better about how dark that eye socket is.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You're talking about down here?
Yep. As
Yeah,
soon as
okay.
you add
further
like just a darker contrast, your eyes are going to feel much better to what's going on right above it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, right now my eyes immediately are going to those 4 darker spots in the middle of the skull,
Yeah,
and
Okay,
then
yeah.
the bird skull directly above it.
Mhm.
okay.
So
Okay, cool.
that area right there is immediately where my eye goes to. Secondary is over by the jaw, where the lower mandible connects to the skull,
Right here.
right? And then
Mhm.
up above that would be third, the bird skull above that,
Mhm.
you know, and then it kind of rounds itself out to the rest of the piece. But that's first, second, and third priority from what
Okay,
my
good.
eye initially sees.
Rock and roll. Yeah, I definitely want it to be here. It's like the first thing you see,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I'd like it to have that effect where it kind of just rounds back. Like it'll be here and then just kind of falls back as it goes into the background. Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
I'd like it to
I
kind
would
of
also
curve. The
watch your
light to kind of curve.
contrast on the top of the skull
Up
on the
here.
back right,
Here.
because you really want to have separation from where the back of that skull is
Mm-hmm.
and where the highlight on that skull is
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to that light halo that you have on the background. Unless you
Okay.
plan on going through and adding a nice dark outline to it, I would
Yeah.
definitely look at the contrast on that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because there's still more detail that I'm going to put in these little guys here. Like, and actually, it looks like this is still part of the skull. This up
Right.
here, but I want that to be like a cloth behind it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have
Okay.
to, I'm gonna
Oh,
have to figure
okay.
out how to. Yeah, I don't want like up here will be part of the crown that comes back and connects the whole piece together. Does that
Right.
make sense? So yeah.
Mhm.
So I think
Also
I need
look
to.
at your light source and where your light source is coming and where those cast shadows are coming from, right?
Yeah,
Because you've
there's.
got that middle bird skull being casting a shadow directly onto that cloth.
Mhm. Yeah, see, that's what it looks like right now. Yeah, I see that. That's why I was mentioning it because I definitely don't want that to be taken. So I think the light has to come from this way back, and that needs to be lighter here because it definitely looks like it's pushing that back, doesn't it?
Right.
I see exactly
And
what you're saying. Yeah.
if you're using your skull in the background that's already lit as your
Yeah.
Yeah, I
photo,
just saw that.
as like your reference,
Yeah.
if you're using that as your reference,
Hmm.
then the rest of what you're doing needs to have that same consistent light source, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
that
Right.
means
Yeah.
some lighter spots on those bird skulls from
Oh
that
yeah,
top
definitely.
down light source.
Hmm.
But that light is also going to hit the top of that cloth, and it's going to have a much darker undertone where the bottom of that skull is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. I agree with that completely because you can see how intense it is up here on the top portion of that
Right.
skull. And so that needs to come from here and then roll over this way too, and that will affect this bird skull for sure. That'll be pretty intense, like almost whitish. And then there'll be a little bit more on this side of this bird skull too.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
That-
Yeah, and like right now I'm going through and I'm putting this like medium tone through these shapes so I can go back in with like my gummy eraser and kind of like soften some spots up. And I've been really knocking a lot of it down, but I think for some reason I've caught more dark in this area than I intended. So I'm gonna soften that up a little bit more too. Because like here you can just see how simple that like squarish triangle shape is here.
Mhm.
And I definitely
Mhm.
need to get that throughout this whole piece here, like right on this side.
Mhm.
So
Awesome.
killer, man. Thank you.
Yep. So on that note, Ricardo, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick sign off?
All right. My name is Ricardo Sturdivant. I work at Candor Tattoo. You can find me on Instagram at Candor Tattoo. I'm in Illinois, Normal, Illinois. Just hit me up. This is fun. Like you just heard all of us doing. The three of us do this together a lot. And it's a lot of fun to get other people on here and kind of like go through your art and talk about artwork and just approaches like Jason was talking about. And he's got me thinking about this question. So I'm still going to be thinking about it all day today. I know I am, but it's been fun hanging out. Jason, thank you for having me on your show, man. It's always a pleasure. And Kirsten and Bruno, dude, it's always so fun to hang out with you guys, man.
Same
Likewise,
here, brother.
likewise.
Absolutely.
Cool. Bruno, you're next in line. I'll spotlight you. Why don't you give us a quick little sign off there?
Well, yeah, man, it's always great to share with you guys, you know, and always a great conversation. And my name is Bruno Salvatierra. My Instagram is Christmas_art. You can always reach me there at any time. And yeah, man, thanks for having me, Jason.
Anytime, man. And you've got a drawing group coming up, don't you?
There's gonna be an event on April 6th, on Tuesday, April 6th at 1 p.m. in Spanish. It's Hablemos de Arte. And I'm gonna have a friend and really talented artist, Peruvian artist that resides in Germany, Roberto Talavera, and we're gonna talk about art, tattoos, technique, work methods, and biomech, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be all in Spanish, yeah, Guy's gonna be popping in, so that's gonna be great. Hablemos de Arte on April 6th at 1 p.m.
Excellent. And that's East Coast time, US?
East Coast time, yes.
Okay.
East
Awesome.
Coast time. Yeah, forgot to mention that. So yeah, maybe I'll
Excellent.
see you guys there.
Sounds good, man. Well, I mean, I don't know how much I would be able to contribute, but
Yeah, we gotta figure out if we could figure out a way to, you know, have like subtitles in English or something like that, that would be amazing. And I've been looking into it, but haven't gotten lucky with that yet. If you ever run into any information of that nature, Jason, that you're always coming up with all these techie stuff that's out there, let me know, because that would be amazing to be able to share these shows with everyone.
well, I mean, we'll talk, man. We'll talk offline about that. I've got a couple ideas for you.
Great, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
And last but definitely not least, Kirsten.
Hello, I'm Kirsten Franklin. I work over in West Springfield, Massachusetts, Western Mass. You can find me on Instagram at Frankie Says Things. Thank you, Jason, Bruno, and Ricardo, as always. I love hanging out with you guys. I'm sure we'll talk later. But yeah, thank you.
You're very, very welcome. And finally, I will spotlight myself. And let me just adjust my video real quick.
Forgot to thank Kirsten and Ricardo as well. It's always a pleasure.
Very
Oh,
true.
man.
Very true. So my name is Jason Leeser. I'm the host of the Sunday afternoon drawing groups. I'd like to give a very big thank you to Gabe and Guy for allowing me to host these. If you guys don't know about the Reinventing the Tattoo community or the app, that's where I met these other guys. And we're always trying to push each other to do better. We're always trying to learn more and collaborate and, you know, just try to bring everyone, you know, to the next level of tattooing. If you have any interest in getting better at tattooing, drawing, painting, composition, design, if you have questions about anything, if you want to contribute, if you want to hop in on these, you know, regularly, contact us. Let us know. We're all very open people. We're all more than happy to get a hold of you and get in touch with you, answer any questions you may have. And we'd love to have you on. As well, as I mentioned in the beginning of this, if you have any ideas for topics that you would like discussed during these drawing groups, please, by all means, go through, drop us a note, send us a message, make a comment. If you're watching via YouTube, like and subscribe. Please go through and do that. There's tiny little buttons down here that you can click on to like and subscribe. We'd love for you to help us, reach a bigger audience. And who knows, maybe we'll have you on and we'll do some interviews, or, maybe we'll have you on so that you can join in the discussion. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been an absolute blast. And I will see you guys all again next week. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we have the live drawing group with Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network. It's always a great conversation with him. That's, assuming he's not getting tattooed or out sick or got something else going on. But yeah, thank you guys very much for joining us, and have a great day. Cheers.
Peace.
Have a great one. Thank
Later,
you.
man. Bye, guys.